Willie and Jimbo are at Farmer Jones's, working. The sun has begun to set. "We're done, Mr. Jones," Jimbo announced. Jones went over to see if the Mayfield was done right. He gave them their reward. "Go on then," Jones ordered them. The boys went home in the dark. Willie was still looking all around. He was very scared, and he was sticking to Jimbo. "Take it easy, He didn't finish his sentence. Some bump interrupted him. What was that? Jimbo thought to himself. Suddenly, something swept far ahead of them. What was that? Willie was startled and was about to start running, but Jimbo caught him and calmed him down. They picked up their pace. "Don't worry, we'll be home soon," Jimbo reassured him. Something rushed past them again. "Who is it?" Jimbo shouted. "Are you afraid of us?" he added, but now he stopped in front of them. It was him, Skibidi. The boys were completely shocked. Jimbo grabbed Willie and they started running towards the woods. Skibidi didn't hesitate and immediately followed them. They ran through the forest. They had suddenly lost him. They slowed down and walked a little slower. "We destroyed him here last time, so how come he's here again?" Jimbo wondered. Suddenly, a Skibidi emerged from the swamp. "How can this be?" Jimbo said desperately. "There are two of them," said Willie. Jimbo didn't believe that, so they started running away from the Skibidi again. "Mr. Jones! Mr. Jones!" They both knelt down in front of the farm to open the door, but Skibidi was coming towards them. He was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, the farmer appeared. "What?" he exclaimed in irritation. The boys began to explain to him what was happening, but Jones didn't listen to them. "Is this some kind of game again?" he asked gruffly. No, it's not Mr. Jones," Jimbo started, but Jones was already gone. But the boys didn't give up. When the Skibidis were ready to go again, they jumped the fence and hid in the farmhouse behind the straw. This time it didn't work. Skibidi drove through the straw and jumped over the boys. He was much more aggressive today than ever before. They stood across from each other and looked at each other. Jones appeared again. "What kind of mischief are you guys up to?" He was swearing at the boys, but before they could explain what was going on, the Skibidi drove away. Jones took the boys as prize and told them to come back tomorrow to clean up this mess. So Willie and Jimbo went home, disappointed and scared. Jimbo was very angry. "No one would dare to do that to me," he said to himself. But when they got to their house, they went out on the patio and looked around to see if they could see anything suspicious. But Willie immediately ran inside. As soon as the next shot ran out, Jimbo cautiously went to check it out, but his determination ended as soon as he came down from the terrace. "I'm sure it was nothing," he told himself, but he was pretty scared. He ran back home. The next morning, the boys were hiding under the house, and they were lurking behind a tree. There was nothing to be seen. That made Jimbo angry, so they went to Mr. Jones's farm. They had to, or he'd find them himself, and that would be a lot worse than it already was. "I can't believe I'm dreaming this. I've been toiling there all day only to have a toilet come and spoil everything," Jimbo thought to himself angrily. "I thought you guys were all grown up and normal," Jones uttered. So they started to clean up all of the straw Skibidi had thrown around. The farmer kept an eye on them the whole time, to put it all back the way it was. He didn't trust them again. Suddenly, Lloyd walked past them. He was playing with a ball. "We really missed you here," Jimbo started to attack Lloyd. "What's the matter, fellas? Did you guys make a mess here on the farm?" Lloyd uttered mockingly. "No, it wasn't us. It was the Skibidi." Willie began to defend himself. Jimbo looked at him, not wanting to talk about this. He had explained to him only yesterday. Lloyd started to ask what was wrong. "Well, we met him yesterday when we were walking home," Jimbo replied. Lloyd didn't want to believe it at all. He explained that they had already destroyed him a long time ago, and nothing like this could happen in town again. "Maybe there are two of them," Willie argued. Lloyd didn't answer him anymore and walked away into town and picked up his pace a little. If this is all true, I need to get somewhere to hide fast, he thought to himself. Willie and Jimbo were already done. Jones let them go, but he gave them nothing for their work. Willie was already walking towards their house. He was tired and hadn't slept last night. "Wait, we can't go home now," Jimbo explained. Jimbo immediately wanted to get evidence that Skibidi was back, and there was only one way to do that. And that was to have to ride up on them again where they had seen him. "We have to head for the swamp," he decided. No one believed them, and so the two of them had to go alone. Willie didn't want to, but he had to go with Jimbo. When they got there, Jimbo was thinking as Timmy always does. "We have to start looking for clues," he said, "and they have to do it without destroying any." After a while of searching, Willie found toilet paper. "This is a big clue," Jimbo complimented him, and he immediately threw away the pebble he thought was something special. In town, they showed it to Timmy, but he ignored them and went on with his police business. Jimbo didn't let up. "Why would the paper suddenly be in the middle of the woods, he asked Timmy. Timmy gave up. "Fine, describe what happened." Timmy was getting desperate. Willie and Jimbo described it to him, in great detail, as he wrote all of it down on the way home. How he'd turned up in a second in the woods and how aggressive he'd been with Jones. Timmy didn't want to believe it all right away. "We'll look into it together tonight," he decided, so the boys waited on their patio that night for Skibidi to show up. The three of them squeezed together on the terrace. "Wait, you need to move," Timmy began to organise, but as soon as he took a step back, he almost fell off the terrace. "Oh, that was close. And that's him! Skibidi's here! Help! Can anyone hear me?" This started echoing somewhere in the distance. "That sounded like Lloyd," Willie mused. "That was our Lloyd," Timmy replied. They quickly ran down from the patio and ran in the direction where they heard the screams. "Help! He's almost got me!" No, it was coming from the other side though. "We must go to the other way," decided Jimbo, and he went with Willie. "I'll go this way alone," decided Timmy, and he went. Jimbo was about to warn him that it was dangerous, but again, Lloyd started calling. "Where are you? Ouch!" It was really sounding very painful as Lloyd wailed somewhere. Willie and Jimbo followed the voice as it came from the city. When they reached the spot, Lloyd was lying on the ground by a house. Willie and Jimbo quickly ran to him. "What happened to Lloyd?" They quickly ran to him. "Well, Skibidi took my ball," he said in pain and added a smile. "You're crazy!" Jimbo laughed and helped him up. "Are you okay, Lloyd?" Willie asked. Lloyd just told them his arm was broken. They still had to find Timmy, so they walked towards the woods. They left Lloyd on their patio. Timmy was nowhere to be found. They couldn't lose two friends. "Timmy, where are you?" They called in the woods, but there was no answer. They went back to their house. Maybe Timmy was already there. When they got home, Jones was standing there. "What did you do to him?" he asked the boys. "Lloyd will explain it all to you, Mr. Jones," Jimbo replied hopefully, but Lloyd was unconscious. "He must have passed out from it," Jimbo tried to explain. He was still trying to explain that they had a policeman looking for the criminal, but Jones didn't believe their games. "You two will be under my watch now," Jones warned them and disappeared. Jimbo got angry again. "This is not possible," he thought to himself. They took Lloyd to their house in the middle of the night. Timmy woke them up. He threw everything he had on hand at their windows. Jimbo and Willie never left the house. They thought it was Skibidi. Jimbo, however, stuck his head out after Timmy hadn't stopped throwing. He was relieved to see Timmy, but angry that he'd woken him up and that he'd scared him too. "What are you doing over here so late at night?" Jimbo asked, like he was still asleep. "I know where Skibidi's retreat is," Timmy said, and he wanted to go there right now in the middle of the night. He said he set some traps at the farmer's and on the way to town. "We must catch him now or never," he finally decided. So Jimbo and Willie went to see Timmy. "How did you get back at all?" Jimbo asked. "I didn't even see him," replied Timmy. On the way there, he explained to them that Skibidi had a refuge in the middle of the forest. "I found him by the toilet paper," he explained, but Timmy still didn't know if it's the same one. They were already there. Nothing. It was completely silent. The boys were not separated, walking together as a pack. "You really think this is it?" Jimbo whispered. "Where else would it be?" Timmy whispered back. At that moment, no one said anything else, and a stick cracked nearby. Skibidi immediately began to approach them. "Ah!" And they knelt down quickly, ran towards Mr. Jones's farm, where Timmy had prepared a net he planned to trap Skibidi in. They were already at the farm, and Skibidi was hot on their heels. They jumped the fence quickly, but Willie fell to the ground. He quickly picked himself up off the ground. "Quickly!" Timmy began to urge them. They were past the barn. Skibidi was nowhere to be found. There were footsteps. The boys immediately pulled the lever and the net fell. When they went to see what they had caught, Jones was on the ground with the net Timmy had set up. "Wait! Wait till I get out of this!" Jones began to threaten. When he got out of it, he ran towards the boys. "Now I'm gonna show you why you shouldn't make fun of me." But at that moment, the Skibidi knocked him down. "What the?" Jones shouted in confusion. Skibidi drove away from them. "So you believe me now?" Jimbo asked. Jones pushed him away and ran towards the Skibidi. "I'll show you! Wait till I catch you! You will work on my farm for the rest of your life!" The boys just watched, hoping Jones would take care of these problems of theirs already. The boys ran after him. They saw Jones kick Skibidi, and he really drove him somewhere far out of town. He ran after him for a while and threatened with his fists. But it was no use. He's gonna show up here again.